know, girls, when it is that time of the month, you want to feel nice. You put on something nice because you don't want to feel like a disgusting fat monster, but it never fits because you're a disgusting fat monster, am I right?
Yeah, I like to call that being potato shaped, you know, just kind of like a sack. Oh, I'm hungry.
Potato time.
It's dinner time, what's in the fridge? I think maybe I'll have a smidge of pasta, pancakes, artichokes, hummus and potatoes, something salty, something sweet, and maybe just a handful of raw meat.
And when we're finished up with that, we'll cry because you think we're fat. But fuck you, dude, you're no prize, so don't tell us what our proper size is.
I'm bleeding out my vagina, I'm bleeding, and it ain't feeling fine. I'm bleeding out my vagina, I'm bleeding out, I'm bleeding out. And ladies, have you ever tried to take a shit with a tampon in?
Oh my god,
Oh my God.
It's horrible. You basically just have to take the tampon out and then
Yes,
tampon
and
wasted.
then tampon totally wasted. And you know
And
how
they're
expensive
so
those are?
expensive.
It is
Have you guys
absolutely
heard
ridiculous.
about the pink tax?
I don't even
Listen, they're
get me
giving
started,
out
Kara.
condoms for free when half of us are bleeding like,
They're
I don't
passing
know,
them out.
25% of the time. Is that right? I can't do math. I'm a comedy musician, god damn it.
I'm bleeding out my vagina, I'm bleeding, and it ain't feeling fine. I'm bleeding out my vagina, I'm bleeding out, I'm bleeding out.
This is kind of about my experience since I've been in Denver, because I had to start going to a lot of open mics to try to feed the monkey, you know? So I hadn't been to any in a long time, and I sort of made some observations. I saw you this past Tuesday at the Common Ground Cafe, pouring out your heart over B, F sharp and A. You played that pretty Gibson with that groovy ponytail, but before the song was over, probably half the crowd had bailed. You looked alright, your voice is fine, your lyrics aren't that bad, and I'm not even all that bothered that you're coming off so sad. Your song's too long, there's no need to beat this horse. Your song's too, don't bore us, get to the chorus, lose the extra verse. Your finger picking's fine, and your mic technique is good. You were sitting, but I don't think it would have helped if you had stood. 3 choruses and out was good enough for John and Paul. You got more bridges here than Brooklyn. Are you sure you need 'em all? Your song's too long. Quit beating on that horse. Your song's too, don't bore us, get to the chorus, lose the 7th verse. Bye bye, Miss American Pie. How about you save us both some time? Hit it and quit it, I promise you we get it. Your song's too long, it's way too long. It goes on and on and on and on. on now. On and on and on. On and on and on. Your song's too long.
Okay, that was Alex Castle.
That was great. That
From
was some
Maryland.
great stuff. Most people do stay on the stage too
Rockwood.
long.
Oh,
The term
yeah.
is
They make the other
stage whore.
Yeah, you taught me that with Helen Stratford.
Yeah, yeah.
You're in the back going, stage whore, get off! Get off the stage, Helen!
Yeah.
Yeah, she used to do the psychotic hotline.
Yeah.
We'd like throw phone calls in the middle of
Yeah.
her poetry.
Yeah.
Oh, she used to love that.
Yeah.
That was recorded at Radio Free Brooklyn at
It's Robert Pritchard's little,
Robert Pritchard and George Tenney. Is that his name?
Tom Tenney.
Tom Tenney. I met him once,
Yeah.
like in 2003,
Yeah.
in the basement of the cutting room.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just remember all those things. Yeah, that was Radio Free Brooklyn. The show was mockumentary. It was part of the Comedy Music Festival that Delfino runs.
Yeah.
Jessica Delfino. She put it together. It's the 5th year she's doing it. She took 2 years off because she had a baby.
Baby, right.
And now she's back doing things again.
Yeah.
And yeah, we went all over the town. It's like she takes people. Like Alex is from Maryland, and Hardwood, they're from Rochester.
Yeah.
And they come down to New York, and she takes them to all these dive bars
Yeah.
and has them play there.
Yeah.
And they just tramp around. Everybody gets drunk and stoned for a weekend.
Yeah.
It's pretty nice.
Well, I skipped the drunken stone part.
Yeah, I'm too old for that now.
Yeah.
Well, okay, so here we are once again. At what the hell is the name of the show? Brain Candy. Hey,
Brain
put
Candy,
the phone number
the
up.
graphics.
Yeah, put the phone numbers up.
Yeah.
Look at
Get
me,
some
I'm losing weight.
callers in here.
See if anybody wants to call us,
Yeah.
and we'll give you some really stupid answers to whatever questions you might have.
So what are you videotaping these days? What's the
Erin
thing?
had a cello. I meant to bring in a video of her, but I didn't. Erin has a new album out, and she's playing Rockwood at 7 o'clock on Thursday.
That's a little tiny place. It's like going into a submarine.
Well, they have a
like-
back room now that goes on to Ludlow Street.
Yeah, but still, it's like being in a subway car. You know,
Well, stage 1. Stage 2 is slightly bigger.
slightly.
And it's a very strange place,
Yeah.
Mike. First time I taped there, I'm outside in the middle of Allen Street.
Yeah.
I'm taping, for the opening
Yeah.
credits, you tape the outside of
Yeah.
the building. And the guy comes over and goes, "What are you taping my club for?" Like with an attitude, like, what stop taping. He doesn't have a sign.
they have the proprietary,
There's no sign.
the proprietary thing that anything recorded here is our property.
Yeah,
They're like that there. A lot of places are like that.
Mike, stand here. Don't
Yeah.
move. Right
Yeah,
here.
yeah, yeah.
This is your spot.
Yeah.
Don't forget about any other good camera angles. You stand right there. Strange place.
Yeah.
I don't know how they make their money.
The stage is the size of like a shoebox. It's like little tiny stages.
Yeah.
Just enough room for like one person and maybe an accompanist. That's
I
about
think
it.
you're thinking of stage 1.
Yeah.
Stage 2 is right next door,
Yeah.
and it's bigger. They have a grand piano.
They say Lady Gaga started there.
Yeah, she started, yeah.
It's a place to go. Like I knew acoustic, singer-songwriters who started out there. It's a big deal. It's such a small place, but it's such a big deal if you get in there. It's like I don't know if you remember like the bitter end. It's like once you get there, you're kind of like
you know what it is? They give they have like a 10 or 12 track recorder.
yeah.
So they give it to the musicians. So they go home and play with the editing.
Yeah.
So the sound they get is beautiful.
Yeah.
Because here you go. Your band just did this. Here's a 8-track recording of it.
Yeah.
Go mix it.
And so many of those little places.
That gets a lot of crowd. That gets a lot of people
On
in.
the Lower East Side, they're
because,
closing. Almost everything is closed now, except Rockwood. Like there's very few clubs open down there anymore.
Well, they say theater's always been dying, right?
Yeah.
It's always dying, and then something pops up.
Yeah, right. Well, right. A new scene
Yeah.
comes, whether it's Williamsburg or Bushwick, and now it's even going on to Bed-Stuy and Maspeth, Queens, like north of like Bushwick. Rego Park is in Queens. It's like
Not coming to my
directly north.
neighborhood. I'm in like South Ozone Park.
Well, eventually it's going to come out. I mean, like
Come
you
down
always
here, they
think of
get
a
mugged.
place. They say it could never happen there, and they say the next Lower East Side is like that area of the South Bronx, like by Willis Avenue, like
Oh, yeah?
138th Street, where the
I used to deliver things for like a photo lab when, in the early 70s, 74, 75. Somebody broke into my car on Willis Avenue, 138th Street, right on the corner.
That area now is primed to be the next
They took my
Williamsburg.
jacket.
They have the streets like cobblestone and brick, like they have in Williamsburg along, what am I thinking of, Bedford Avenue. It looks like they have it set up now like Bedford Avenue. They're just waiting for the crowds to get there. They're just waiting for the performers to show up there. But it's going to be the next one.
I could see that. You know, I was afraid to go into Brooklyn with my camera like 10 years ago because I remember, Bed-Stuy and
right. Bed-Stuy riot
in 1970s.
Right, exactly, right.
I'm not taking a $6,000 camera on the subway,
That's true, but now Bed-Stuy is full of white people, white kids. And a kid is anybody under the age of 30 as a kid.
First time I went to Bazaar Bar, I got off from Myrtle and Marcy.
Yeah.
No, Myrtle and Broadway.
Yeah, right. Well,
remember the movie Ghost? That's where like the mugger lived?
Yeah, right. That's Rick Avilas.
I got down from the subway. I'm going, all these little white kids are going to get murdered, man.
Goodbye Blue Monday used to be there.
I taped Simone there.
Right, exactly. It was a really hot place.
Yeah.
Right, it was a hot place. But like I said, all these places were part of this 78, like, the Bronx is burning when the lights went out.
Yeah.
These places burned to the ground, and now the hipster kids from Indiana grow beards and get their noses pierced, and suddenly they're New Yorkers living in Bushwick.
Goodbye Blue Monday, the back room used to be a chop shop.
Yeah, for right.
They would destroy. They would strip a car in like 2 minutes,
like 30 seconds and gone. Right, they bring it in there.
Here comes the car. Everybody jumps out and strips
if you walk along that area of Broadway, let's say you walk one stop down, you go in between. There are still the buildings that is nothing but the facade left. It looks like something out of Berlin in 1945, or like those movie sets, like Star Trek. Where they have like it only have a facade, and behind it, they still have those brick facades there that they burned in. I guess it was July 13th, 1978. If my memory,
if your memory, July 13th, 1978,
at exactly 9:30. Actually, the story was happening in the afternoons, and they slowly, with the rolling blackout.
It's happened. You ever notice neighborhoods when they go down, when they get really bad, they rent cheap to artists.
Yeah, because it's easy.
And it becomes full of art because they can handle it.
And then, like I said,
and then
characters like the yuppie from Ghost move in there.
It gets a reputation. Next thing you know, there's fashion designers moving in.
Yeah, but then the next wave comes in, and they have
rents go up.
It's all but a closed community. Like you have these gated communities in Boca Raton, but here a gated community is a glass and steel tower, 54 stories tall. You're talking about.
Well, they got Queens. There's Kensington, Queens. There's like big gates and a guard to go into the neighborhood.
But I'm talking about like a place like now I have the Hudson Yards. It's basically a multimillionaire's gated community. Yeah. In fact, the story is they tell you ahead of time there's no cashier at all, not in the entire complex.
I could see that.
Everything is credit cards and the old the iPhone. Hold up the iPhone, beep, it goes on there. But some of us ruined our credit years ago. Like 15 years ago. Credit. All right, so some of us just don't have credit cards and don't have means to get one. Just have a check account that I put like the direct deposit, and as soon as it comes in, I withdraw it as fast as possible.
You do?
Yeah, because
I keep accumulating money. I don't know.
Because
I don't even know how I do it.
The creditors would grab it if they happened one time. The American Express
I feel bad for
jumped
people
all over
credit.
it. Jumped all over it, and they froze the account. And they took all the money out, and they took. And who else got me? The New York State Tax Association. And it was really strange. I went to bring the check. I didn't have direct deposit. And I went to the credit unit, the VA. It was like Veterans Administration. Yeah. And I went, and she writes this little note, and she shows it. It says, "Your checking account has been seized." It's like she was like. So the point is, she was saying, "I said, oh, thanks." Later, I told her thanks because like if I had put that check in, they would have grabbed that. It's every little note. Your checking account has been seized.
I feel bad for people with credit. Mike, I had a Direct TV, $200 a month. Yeah. I had the antenna on the roof, and the landlord made an agreement with the cell phone company, and they rented out the roof, so I couldn't have my antenna up there anymore. Direct TV says, well, that's not our problem. You owe us $200 a month
Right,
for the next 2 years.
Yeah,
and I'm thinking, like, what am I 35 with credit?
Yeah,
Fuck you. You know, well, you can ruin my credit.
Did you want to run another?
Yeah, we have another clip to run. If you can, Joyce, anytime you want.
Which one is it?
It's one of you with
Caught an episode of the cable TV reality series It Happened Here on the Reels Network, where rock and roll writers reminisce about the early days of music artists and the key locations were pivotal in their life stories. This installment concerned the relocation of John Lennon and his then-wife Yoko Ono to New York City in the early 70s. A segment of the documentary was introduced, narrated, guided by renowned rock and roll photographer Bob Gruen, who captured that iconic moment of John Lennon wearing his white T-shirt, arms crossed, hiding behind Foster Grant sunglasses, with the simple phrase, New York City, emblazoned across his chest in black block letters, enigmatic smirk plastered across his face, a postmodern modern Lisa in black and white, a poster reproduction of which every college freshman tacks up on the door of his cramped dorm room to look cool for his fellow incoming classmates. Bob Gruen strolled with the cameraman down Bank Street to the West Side Highway, around the corner from the monumental structure of the old West Beth Artist Residential Building, and finally stopped in front of number 105. I used to literally live right down the street from John Lennon here and could walk to his front door from my place. The aging, white-haired photographer brags to the television audience behind the camera lens. Big Mike now resides in a rent-controlled studio apartment in a condo at the end of that same street, Bank Street at Greenwich Avenue, on Mulray Square, literally just down the road from John Lennon's one-time West Village townhouse. You don't know what it's like, Doctor. He has nothing but the hottest ex-girlfriends of his, all performing on stage with him naked. One of them, Angela, was actually at Playboy Centerfold, Miss April 1994. But am I jealous? No. I just wish he would pay the same attention to me when he gets off stage as he does to all those exes of his that he insists on keeping all around him all these years later. Me and my very soon fourth ex-wife, Puma, are sitting in the office of our marriage counselor, Dr. Amber, in a final desperate attempt to save our failing relationship, paid for by Big Mike's senior citizen Medicare benefits. My doctor, not hers. I mean, you should see them on stage together, hands all over each other's naked bodies. But am I jealous? No. And still, this is how he treats me, doctor, like a cold fish. The old silent treatment, ignoring me as if I were invisible, not even there, just passing me by when our paths crossed in our apartment at night. Two ships that passed the night. I wouldn't even know he was home, except for all the noise his knee and hip joints make, cracking so loudly as he gets up to use the toilet in the middle of the night. Supposedly we'll be performing on Bleecker Street together along with Miss April later on this evening. Really an actual Playboy bunny? Naked on stage together? Really, Michael? What a very interesting life you must lead. This one-sided conversation appears to be a one heavy turn-on for our Dr. Amber, 28-year-old recent graduate degree candidate in psychology from the New School of Social Research, who perks up, her now flushed face awkwardly betraying her sexual excitement. She very discreetly yanks up the hem of her girly little navy blue, flounced, extremely short nylon miniskirt, purposefully exposing the crotch of her sheer navy blue pantyhose and a triangle of white cotton underpanties to the greedy gaze of Big Mike's eyes. It's a one-sided conversation, since my very soon-to-be fourth ex-wife refuses to let me get a word in edgewise. No wonder I'm giving her the old silent treatment. She screams much louder than I do when she describes all my former and present sex partners. Besides, I'm distracted from my conversation by young Dr. Amber's pussy lips, clearly outlined beneath her thinnest of white cotton panty fabric. Perhaps I will engage in social intercourse later with Miss April at the Yippee Cafe Theater on Bleecker Street at the Bowery before our onstage naked performance together. Have you ever heard of Bob Gruen, the rock and roll photographer? He's the cameraman who documented the cross-country tour of Sex Pistols back in 1977, Green Day for Rolling Stone magazine, and all those famous New York photos of John Lennon and Yoko Ono for their album cover Double Fantasy. Zoe Hanson, Handsome Dick Manitoba's wife, has a new book out. She's going to be our feature performer tonight, and Bob Gruen agreed to do the cover art for it. He'll be keeping a low profile, taking photos during a reading. Just a heads up, he won't be photographing us or your little ex-girlfriend, so be aware of his presence, and for God's sake, stay the fuck out of his way while he's working tonight. Okay, Mike? What, Big Mike and a naked, aging former Playboy centerfold don't rate in Bob Gruen's world? Well, so be it. Arrive at Yippee Cafe Theater prior to anyone else's arrival. The place is empty, except for me and my ex, Miss April 1994, at the moment fully dressed, in a green leatherette sofa. The venue is bare to the walls, undergoing a renovation, trying to get that persistent aroma of stale cat piss out of the walls, the floorboards, and support beams of the site before its imminent sale to the avaricious Corcoran Realty conglomerate. P.S. They never did. Corcoran Group bought it anyway, cat you're in smell or not. Well, nobody's here yet. Zoe Hansen's tonight's featured poet, and Puma should be coming soon. They're bringing this guy, Bob Gruen, rock and roll photographer for Rolling Stone magazine, with them. Ever heard of him? No. Well, he's going to photograph Zoe during a performance for a new book of new poetry. That's going to be released soon. Is he going to take any of our pics or just hers? I just had new extensions put in my hair, see? Almost 8 hours of sitting in the salon yesterday. No, just Zoe Hansen. What? Me and you, we don't rate with this guy? Apparently not. She rates because she's married to handsome Dick Manitoba of the Dictators, you know, rock and roll royalty, at least in New York anyways. Fuck him. I mean, what an asshole. Awkward silence. As long as no one's here yet, except you and me, do you want to make out with me? Just until anyone shows? Expecting just a nervous laugh, honestly, and an emphatic no. You know, even though I'm living with somebody else new now, I've always considered Big Mike to be my boyfriend. I still couldn't keep our hands off each other, couldn't keep our tongues out of each other's mouths. She was a one-time pole dancer in a New Jersey topless, bottomless bar. She was older now, but still very lithe and sinuous for her age. Nowhere to sit in a vacant room undergoing rehab. We're standing and she has one agile leg slung over my left shoulder. I got my left hand on her right double D cup silicone enhanced tit. Right hand on her copious left ass cheek. She's got the hem of her green polyester wraparound mini dress hiked up her ample thighs, exposing the black nylon crotch of her bikini panties, and is doing her best to wriggle her breasts out of her green polyester mini dress halter top, bearing her polyfull black push-up bra. I'm about to stick my face in her loins, and suddenly that cat piss saturated green leather that sofa ain't looking so bad for an improvised landing pad. Bam! Unexpectedly, the Yippee Cafe's massive steel reinforced door opens. It's poet Zoe Hansen, my very, very soon-to-be fourth ex-wife Puma, and rock and roll photographer Bob Gruen. All three lined up in the doorway, all mouths gaping, eyes wide, like they just caught us masturbating or something, which is pretty much the case, isn't it? There's absolutely nowhere to hide in a totally vacant room. Hey, Bob Gruen, rock and roll photographer, why did you take a picture? It'll last longer. Bob Gruen is particularly flabbergasted. He's looking around for somewhere to hide. His hair was a lot less white back then, 7 years ago, not like it appears on the cable TV series. By this point, my face is halfway to Angela's vagina. My head snaps back up. Oh, Puma, honey, you know Angela here, don't you? Angela just smirks, wiggles her fingers in a silent hello to my very, very, very soon-to-be fourth ex-wife, Puma. All three of our interlopers did an about-face in perfect formation and headed back out onto Bleecker Street, the very definition of the word awkward. My imminently fourth ex-wife, Puma, and I did return to the amorous young Dr. Amber, but now to discuss our imminent, very, very amicable divorce, and that was Big Mike's brush with real rock and roll royalty and the royal photographer himself, Bob Gruen.
Longer there, like I said, the Corcoran group
Same.
got their hands on it, and you know the story is it was number 9 supposedly. The story is there is no number 9 Bleecker Street. When it was still like an area full of like drunken bums, like Bowery bums, the kids from the Yippee Cafe, the Yippies, went and found an old building that had a 9 numeral metal, put it up there, and it becomes 9. But if you look at the city plan, there is no number 9.
Do you remember Studio 10 across the street?
Yes, this is right.
Oh man, they had little like platforms thing where you climb up there?
It was
My
shown
wife
in the
and I used-
movie
my wife and I used to do
Summer of
ass-
Sam.
my wife-
Scorsese shows it in the Summer of Sam.
Studio 10?
That's where
I'd love
the
to see
kid
that.
gets beat up because he says, "I want the Red Sox," because he's from Boston. And the point is that the guys from the
wife and I-
Bronx beat him up.
My wife
It
and I
was
used
right
to do
there.
acid in Studio 10 and just like
How
freak out.
much? How many? Like 1 minute left, or?
Yeah, a minute
minute
and
left,
45 seconds.
Well, I don't think we have any time to take phone calls, but
No.
it's been a pleasure.
Another time.
It's been a pleasure dealing with you there, buddy.
You too, Mike. Now we have another minute and 20 seconds to go.
Well, and we got plenty to talk about. Like what I said, that is Dana Beal was running it for a while. The guy from the old Yippie days, and they caught him with a pound of marijuana, 2 pounds of marijuana, like a kilo, in his baggage. He's like, well, it's legal in Colorado, and they put him in federal prison. And as soon as he got, they had to wait for a liver transplant. He needed a liver transplant. So he sat in jail waiting for somebody to die.
December 1971, me and my boys had a pound of marijuana in a car.
Yeah.
Car was registered to my friend's mother. She reported it stolen. We were on the radio in some hick town in the South.
Yeah.
Oh, man, talk about getting busted in a little hick town, 1971 with a pound of weed. You're from New York?
Yeah, right. They're just waiting for you, man.
Good times, good times.
You got 1 minute left?
45 seconds.
What is 5, 6? So what we talk about next week then?
Next week,
the people on there.
Next week I'm going to bring in videos of Puma.
Puma, the very person, my fourth ex-wife that we just
I'll
discussed.
bring in Puma,
now,
and
right,
I will ask her if she wants to come down here and do this show.
Yeah, and if not, we'll still promote her show.
I don't think you should
we're
ask
like
her.
that. Huh?
I don't think you should ask her.
Well, probably it's a better idea for you to ask her to come down here, and I'll
do
be
that.
here, and we'll see how this all works out.
Okay. In the meantime, Thursday night, 7 o'clock, Rockwood Music Hall. Erin and her cello, probably the best band that's never been signed to a contract.
Yeah.
The girl is amazing.
Yeah.
She did some heavy metal stuff last month on her and her cello.
Like Black Sabbath.
Just go, what the hell? She's nuts. Pleasantly insane. Okay, goodbye, everybody.
Goodbye. Bye.
See you next time.
It's been real. It's
Next
been
week.
surreal. Right, I
We're
said
off
there.
the air.